Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our current session deals with the scope of post method, and I hope and expect by the end of this session you would have some know-how of the scope of post method. Well, my dear students, post method approach may not lead to the abandonment of the approach or method that the teachers started out using, but it will at least lead to a modification of it as the teacher adds, modifies, and adjusts the approach or the method to the context, to the social reality, or to the practical reality of the classroom. In developing a personal approach to teaching, a primary reference point for the teacher is his or her personal beliefs, values, principles with regard to certain things, which include his or her role in the classroom. What does the teacher believe is his or her role? Secondly, the nature of effective teaching and learning. What is the belief of the teacher about the nature of learning or effective teaching and learning? Thirdly, the teacher's belief about the difficulties that the learners face and how these can be addressed or how the students can be helped in successful learning. Fourthly, the structure of an effective lesson. The teacher's belief or the teacher's idea about what makes a good or effective lesson. These are the ideas that through the times, over the times, would modify the approach that the teacher would have towards the teaching of a lesson and the method that the teacher would use. So, my dear students, basically beliefs and theories about these aspects of teaching result in the development of core principles that provide the source for the teacher's plans and instructional decisions. An individual teacher may draw on different principles at different times depending upon the type of the class he or she is teaching, depending upon the nature of the group he or she is dealing with, depending upon the level of the students, whether they are children or adults, they are beginners or they are advanced learners, what are their needs, what are their interests, etc. Examples of such principles are given by Bailey 1996, which include: number 1, to engage all learners in the lesson; number 2, to make learners and not the teacher the focus of the class, which means to create a learner-centered classroom; number 3, to provide maximum opportunities for the student to participate in the classroom; number 4, to develop learner responsibility or to give a kind of autonomy to the learner; number 5, be tolerant of learners' mistakes. Another point is that to develop learners' confidence, because at the end of the day, the goal is to give some kind of autonomy, some kind of sense of responsibility or self-learning, priority to the learner. And finally, to teach learning strategies. It also includes to respond to the learner's difficulties and to build on them, which means not only understanding the difficulties of the learner, but also to build on those difficulties to enable them to learn. Also, it becomes a teacher's responsibility to use a maximum amount of student-to-student activity. The peer learning process, the involvement of peers, the involvement of group work, also to promote cooperation among learners and to enable them to practice both accuracy and fluency. And I think this is something very important to create a kind of a balance between the two. The teacher also needs to address the learner's needs and interests, because this is what would keep them motivated. Now, only a few of these principles will be consciously referred to at a given time, and at one time the teacher would be focusing on a set of these things. At another time, he or she may be focusing on some other things out of this set. Some may be derived from the approaches and methods the teacher is familiar with. Others are personally constructed as viewpoints or as ways of doing it through the personal experience of the teacher as the teacher gains experience over the times. For the novice teachers, for the new teachers, classroom experience and day-to-day interaction with colleagues has the potential to influence particular relationships amongst beliefs, principles, and over the time, they consolidate these principles and these beliefs into a kind of way of looking at things, which becomes their personal method. Now, my dear students, professional development that engages teachers in a direct explanation of their beliefs and principles may provide the kind of opportunities to the teachers, to the new teachers especially, to get a kind of greater self-awareness through reflection and through critical questioning as a starting point of later adaptations that they can make in the approaches and methods that they have learned, and to make them suit the needs that they have in the classroom. The teacher's conceptualizations of, for example, of language learning, of language teaching, etc., are situated within that person's wider set of beliefs concerning such issues as human nature, as culture, society, education, and the processes of teaching and learning themselves. So, the concepts and the beliefs of the teachers thus would take the teacher one step ahead or one step beyond, his or her belief in a particular approach or his or her, practical application of one particular method. And in the post-method context, the teacher would be able to create, to adopt, and to adapt methods and approaches in the light of his or her personal experiences.